Hello students, welcome back to school. My name is Jeffrey Osagidoa. I will be your civic education teacher for this term. Last time we looked at the topic Universal Declaration of Human Rights 2. This time we are going to be looking at the topic Importance of Civic Education. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to explain the meaning of tradition, custom, and belief. You also should be able to list some skills necessary for the preservation of tradition, custom, and belief. Let us first of all start by looking at the definition of civic education. Civic education can be defined as a process of empowering us to be well-informed, active citizens and allow us to change the world around us. It is a vital part of any democracy and equips ordinary people with the knowledge about democracy and our constitution. So civic education is that subject that empowers you, that makes you to become a very active citizen in your own country. It informs you, it prepares you to have what it takes to be able to look at issues objectively and also to contribute your quota to the national development, to the states, and also to local area that you stay. Let us basically look at tradition, which will be our focus under the importance of civic education. Tradition is known as the handing down of statement, belief, legend, custom, information, etc. from generation to generation, especially by word of mouth or by practice. So tradition basically is statement, belief, and legend, custom, information that is passed down from generation to generation. Tradition is also a treasure statement, belief, legend, custom, information hand down from generation to generation, verbally or by action. We now look at the meaning of customs. A custom is a common way of doing things. It is something that many people do or have done for a long time. Usually people come from the same country, culture, or religion. Custom is an acceptable way of behaving or doing things in a society or community. Customs vary from one culture to another, and they depict how things are done in each culture. These are marriage custom, name ceremony customs, funeral customs, and so on and so forth. So custom basically has to do with the way things are done in a certain area and the culture that is being practiced in that area. The kind of people that reside in that area also tells you the kind of custom that you will begin to start seeing playing out in the way the people do their things. So we'll now look at belief and acceptance that sometimes exists or is true, especially one without proof. Belief is also something we think or feel that is true, good, right, or appropriate without necessarily having proof. So belief is something that people have come to accept as belief, or they think that that thing is right. And often the time, if a particular thing has been practiced over time, it becomes the belief of the people. And do not forget, we must bring this to note that belief is not necessarily true. Most of the time, what is acceptable to be the belief of people, might not even have something to prove whether that thing is worth believing or not. It might just be that because you have seen it being practiced by your father or mother, and then you also came into the scene, you took over, and then you also start practicing it. So that becomes a belief for that group of people, which there might be necessarily nothing to prove whether what was done before you is right or wrong, and you might do it on the premises of knowing that your dad or mom did it. So for you can accept it that it is right, and as such you also begin to do it. So belief is what people have come to accept to be right, true, good, and then they begin to start a kind of wanting to live by it. So culture is the custom, the belief, behavior, and social organization characteristics of a particular social or ethnic group. So that becomes a culture. Like normally, generally, simple definition for culture is culture is a way of life of a group of people. So the way the group of people live their life. Do not forget we have custom there. Custom is a way that people do their thing over a period of time. So what they do, how they do it, become their culture that they practice. So we now look at religion. Religion is the belief in the existence of God or gods and the activities that are connected with the worship of them. So religion has to do with people having a belief on God or gods, and then the activities, the way they want to worship these perceived god or gods, and the way they want to perform some certain kind of sacrifices that they see it as a way to appease the gods or to also communicate with the gods, and so on and so forth. So that practice of doing that, to want to be in contact with a perceived superior being, is known as religion. We now look at skills necessary for the preservation of our tradition, custom, and belief. To preserve our custom and tradition, we need to have amazing love and respect for our ancient norms and tradition. To become people who cherish their heritage, we need to be in love with those institutions established by our ancient people. We need to document our oral histories and traditions. Others are: 1. Value clarification skills. This means sorting out one's value from the values of others. So the one of the first way to preserve our tradition and custom is value clarification skills. For example, if you travel out of this area, or you travel out of your domain where you stay to another area, the ability for you to be able to look at what is done, and then you are able to sort out what is value to you, to your own people, what they see as value. You are able to sort it out and miss other kind of value that you are now confronted with, is what makes you to stand out, and also gives that privilege to begin to start looking into ensuring that your own tradition, custom is not dead. For example, if you look at those who travel overseas, like we have heard that in London there are some certain tribe in Nigeria that have a street there, because they've been able, even when they got to London, they did not let the society of London consume them and they kind of extract out everything that make them who they are. So they were able to sort out their own value for their own self and their own culture out of that of the London society. So even while they stay in London, they could create environment for themselves that even when you come to that environment, it looks as though you are in Nigeria. and where and miss those people, where you can have those kind of people sit together and talk. It will look as though you're at home. You just feel at home. And number 2 is that assertiveness skills. This means standing up for what you believe and defending it without breaking or violating the rights of other people. We should be able to defend our culture, tradition, and belief rather than joining the bandwagon of a foreign culture. So what we simply mean by assertiveness skills is the ability to stand up for your own tradition. Dress in your traditional way, speak your traditional language, greet your traditional greeting. So you are able to stand up to reflect who you are, because being original is the best thing for you. When you want to become foreign, it is obvious when people see you. It look as if you are trying to form, look as if you are trying to be what you are not. But when you stand up to represent yourself, who you are, where you are coming from, your locality, you speak your language, you dress in your language, in your cultural dress, and then you are able to represent who you are, then you are also one of those who are standing up to preserve your tradition. Another thing is self-esteem skills. This means that the feeling that we have about ourselves. These feelings include the respect and value that an individual or his community place on himself or herself. Another one is organization of festival. Festivals like the annual Igwe festival you have in Benin, the New Year festival you have in Anambra State, the Eyo festival in Lagos State, the Arogogo festival, fish festival in Kebbi State. All of these are other types of festivals that can also be organized. When you organize all these festivals, it has a way it also preserve our culture. For example, the Igwe festival in Benin, there is a story that is around that Igwe festival, how it comes about. Same you have in other area, and whenever all these festivals come up, it has a way it preserve our culture. Other things is promulgation of laws. You also have promulgation of laws, like government should also be able to sustain our culture, custom and tradition by making laws that will stop bad foreign influence on our custom and tradition. That thing is language. The various Nigerian language has helped in identifying ethnic settings in Nigeria. Therefore, citizens must learn to speak their native language fluently at all times with pride. So you must also be able to learn your language and speak it, like I spoke about the Yoruba people just now. Wherever they go, they speak their language. Another thing is dressing. People also should not neglect their traditional attires, as they allow for easy cultural identification. So when you also dress in your traditional way, it also helps you to be identified easily. Another thing is influence of the media. The program and the features in the media should be the one that promote our culture and tradition. Another thing is greeting. Every ethnic group in Nigeria has a way of greeting, so these greetings are the way of showing respect and courtesy to others. This virtue should be taught to children because they are important value. So the greetings also should be enhanced. And that is marriage custom. Traditional marriage are complementary to Western types of marriage. It is mandatory for Africans, particularly in Nigeria. So during marriage, you see a lot of traditional activities. In fact, it is during marriage you see a lot of custom and tradition coming to play, because the bride and groom must have to dress in a traditional attire. They must have to do all those things that is related to traditional activities. Another thing is storytelling, folk tales, and so on and so forth. In the past, story and music were used to inculcate moral value in children and also to teach them about their cultural legend. So all these things are things that are necessary to put in place to ensure that our culture, tradition, and custom are preserved from just going into extinction. This is all we're going to take in this class now. In next class, we'll be able to look at another topic. I'll see you in my next class.